Oh, hello, my dears. Hello. I hope you're having a lovely time at this time of year. Just bear with me. I'm here to tell you about an old Australian Christmas tradition, about the most special Christmas carol of all. Now then, we'll begin. Are you sitting comfortably? Lovely. Across the world, around this time of year, folks celebrate the holiday season. Various cultures with various beliefs, customs and traditions, starting in November and going all the way through into February. Many have their own gift givers, like Father Christmas and Santa Claus. But there's also folks like Hanakoko, La Befana, the Magi, Dedmoroz, St. Lucy, and even the Yule Goat. As the world changes and societies evolve, so too do traditions. Now, fewer people celebrate the Green Man and Odin than they once did, but remembering the old traditions is a way to connect with our heritage. Sometimes it shows how far we've come, and sometimes it reintroduces us to charming ideas long since lost that we may wish to appreciate or even resurrect. I think Australians of a certain vintage will all fondly remember those Christmases past when Mother Carol the Christmas Spider would visit. Of course, your family might have called her something different. Kazza, Nana Kazza, Spider Mum, Grandma Eight Legs, that bloody spider, old Mrs. Bitey, the Big K. It seemed like every family had a different name for her. And Kaz's gifts were as unique as her names. No toys or lollies from Kaz. Spiders are practical creatures after all. Way back when, in the build-up to Christmas, we'd all go bush to try and find a non-burnt tree. It was usually one uprooted by high winds or flood. If we were lucky, it even still had some leaves on it. If one had trouble finding such a tree, the alternative was to stand under a gum tree, after first checking for drop bears, of course. One usually didn't have to stand there long until the gum inevitably dropped a branch. Those who were successful in dodging the large piece of falling wood could take it home if it wasn't too big. Once home, the tree, branch, or sometimes just a large stick would be leaned against the wall in a corner of the lounge room or kitchen. A few lights and tinsel would be jammed haphazardly onto it, along with decorations the kids made of paper, glue, and mind-bogglingly huge amounts of glitter. Once the tree was decorated, we'd all look at our work and say, "Look at that! What a bloody ripper!" Then we'd put up some tinsel around the house with dodgy sticky tape that either couldn't cope with the hot Australian holidays, or would later rip off chunks of wallpaper, paint, plaster, or even bits of brick when you removed it. Lastly, we'd tie a piece of string across the lounge room and hang all the Christmas cards we got from local real estate agents and politicians on it. presents from Mum and Dad, not to mention various relatives, would go under the tree. There were some toys or books, but there were always lots of practical presents like socks, jocks, singlets and t-shirts in honour of Carol. But the best present was yet to come. Carol the Christmas Spider, or one of her millions of children, would find a way to sneak into your home. Being spiders, they were somewhat adept at this. Usually she hid herself among some of the catalogues and bills, and you unknowingly brought her in from the letterbox. Sometimes she'd be on the washing, or she'd drop down from a tree onto your back while you were outside and get in that way. Other times, well, she'd just slip in under the door. Once inside, she'd secrete her large, spiny, multicoloured body somewhere in your home where she couldn't be found. Often, if you did come across her, she'd have time to run and find another hiding spot while you were busy swearing and clutching your heart. Then, every night, Carol would travel the house and sit on the ceiling above you in bed. Sometimes she'd lower herself down on a line and hover right above your face to get a really good taste of your breath. You see, being the special Christmas spider, she'd drink in your breath to see if you'd been good for the year, which is why it's not only good dental practice, but polite to brush your teeth before bed. Occasionally, Kazza would crawl down and sit on the wall right beside you, or even on your pillow. If you were especially lucky, she'd give you an early gift. The tiny, crushed-up, calcified remains of the insects she'd eaten during the night would be carefully placed in the corners of your eyes. And on Christmas Day, the more sand you rubbed from your eyes, the better you knew you'd been that year. Many children would get minor bumps and scrapes because they'd navigate to their parents' bedroom with their eyes clenched shut, just to show them all the spider sand they had. But Kazza's real gift was to come. You'd head to the tree, stick or burnt stump, and if you'd been good enough, there would be a large silken package gently moving and pulsating under the tree. You see, on Christmas Eve, Kazza had gone all around your house, all through your garden, and even to nearby parks and beaches, and laid webbing traps everywhere. These were special magical webs, baited with the ichor of all the little creatures she'd eaten through the year. The smell was irresistible, and so all the redbacks, brown snakes, blue-ringed octopuses, ghost ticks, funnel webs, drop bears, crocodiles, red-bellied black snakes, taipans, dunny leeches, platypuses, paralysis ticks, stonefish, giant centipedes, ill-tempered kangaroos, and bull ants, just to name a few, would be drawn to her traps. She would catch every creature, well, except cassowaries, because old Nana Eight-Legs is smart enough to know when to walk away from a fight. And she would gently wrap them so they couldn't harm anyone. And then she would work all night, putting them in the huge silken sack she'd leave under your tree. And in a bout of typical Australian irony, the best gift of all was the one you never opened. But thanks to Ma Carol, you knew you could go and play outside in the backyard and there'd be scarcely any dangerous creatures to have to look out for. No system is perfect, but thanks to the hard work of Kazza and her kids, you are relatively safe for one whole day of the year. Imagine that. Once you'd spent the day outside, having fun, hurting your feet on caltrops or burning hot concrete, and playing Who's Going to Get Sunburnt, you'd come in and usually eat a massive, hot Christmas dinner totally unsuited to a 38-degree day. Tired, overfed and exhausted, you'd go to bed smiling and happy from the day of moderate safety in your own backyard. Later that night, one of your parents or an unloved auntie or uncle would take the huge sack outside and release all the venomous and dangerous creatures back into the wild where they belonged. And the various animals rejoiced in being freed so much, almost none of them would attack their liberator. When the time came to get rid of our Christmas twigs, they'd be taken back to the bush to become homes for local wildlife, or to give the bushfires more fuel to burn. Of course, you never quite knew if it was Carol herself or one of her children that had made your Christmas day marginally more survivable. But when school started back in the new year and kids talked about their Christmas, every kid knew it was Mother Carol who'd come to their house. As for Kazza, she'd find her own way out. After having a bit of a nibble on the blowflies and insects that had been left on windowsills and in light fittings around the house, just for her. Even today, lots of families still do that. The old traditions, they linger. I know this has been a hard year for many, especially those who will be spending the holidays alone. In finishing, no matter where you are in the world, no matter what your beliefs, I hope you leave some dead flies around for Kazza, and to take comfort in the fact you're never more than a few meters from a spider. So you're never really alone. Goodbye, my dears. Merry Christmas and happy holidays to you all. Oh!